First of all, what question is being raised? What evidence is being presented? What's the quality of the evidence? What counter-evidence is there? The topic, of course, is what system Srila Prabhupada instituted in regard to initiations after his departure. Toward the end of the presentation you just heard, a lot was said about the qualification of a person who serves as guru, whether he has to be liberated or whether less than that is adequate. This is a question I don't propose to deal with, because it's not the question on the floor. The question on the floor is, what system did Srila Prabhupada institute? If he instituted a Ritvik guru system, then the question about the qualification of guru is not urgent. We can put it off. The main business is to get these Ritviks in place. On the other hand, the question of the qualification of guru, whether he has to be liberated and so on, that becomes urgent only if your other premise is wrong. Only if Prabhupada didn't institute a Ritvik guru system for initiation after his departure. If you're wrong, then it becomes an urgent question. Who's qualified to initiate after Prabhupada? If you're right, the Ritvik guru system is the system. We can talk about those other things later. So the question I'm going to deal with is the question of the Ritvik guru system. Is this what Srila Prabhupada wanted? Now, what's the evidence that's been put forward to the effect that it was? We've had detailed evidence to the effect that Srila Prabhupada, during his presence, put in effect a Ritvik guru system, starting back from the days of Nandan Maharaj and Prabhupada authorizing people to chant on beads, and continuing up through the time when he was saying, it doesn't matter, you don't have to consult me, whoever you think is all right, initiate him, give him a name, put the name in my book. The evidence is uncontrovertible, it's thorough, it's exhaustive, it's accepted by just about everyone. We don't intend to argue that. Srila Prabhupada didn't appoint anyone to become a guru for the future. He appointed Ritviks to initiate in his presence. That much is accepted by everyone. Now, the extension of that is that these Ritviks were supposed to initiate Prabhupada's disciples in the future after Prabhupada's disappearance. That's what's at issue. And that's what Prabhupada is supposed to have firmly set in place before his departure. Now let's see what the evidence is for that. We have, first of all, a memory from Gauridas Pandit of one conversation that he overheard. We have a memory from Yashodanandan that Gauridas Pandit told him that this is what he'd overheard. And we have a memory from Yashodanandan Prabhu that Tamal Krishna Maharaj had said that this would be the system in the future. Now, all right, these are memories. They go back far. I don't think I want to get into detailing the quality of that testimony. I'll simply point out something which has been amply pointed out by Rupa Vilas Prabhu, namely that even persons who are being put forward as gurus at the moment may have 4 defects: a tendency to make mistakes, tendency to fall into illusion, imperfect senses, and a cheating propensity. If you're prepared to argue that even the present leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement have these 4 propensities, I assume that you're unwilling to exempt Yashodanandan Prabhu and Gauridas Pandit from those 4 same defects. Okay. So we have these brief memories, one sentence from Tamal remembered and one sentence from Srila Prabhupada allegedly remembered. We then have 2 sentences severed from their context in the so-called appointment tapes. That is, I shall appoint some of you to be officiating Acharya. Is that called Ritvik? Yes. This is essentially the totality of Srila Prabhupada's statements on the matter that we have available to us in recorded form. I shall appoint some of you. Is that called Ritvik? Yes. Finished. Later in the same conversation, we find, well, I'll come back to that later. No, I won't come back to it. I'm going to deal with it right now. Later in this same tape, we find Srila Prabhupada saying, they are his disciples who is initiating, his grand disciples. The comment from Rupa Vilas Prabhu is, this statement by itself is hard to follow. I submit that this statement by itself is easy to follow. Spiritual master, disciple, grand disciple. It's very clear what's being talked about. You can't have a grand disciple unless the spiritual master initiated a disciple and that disciple initiated his disciple. That's how you get disciples, grand disciples, great-grand disciples, great-great-great-great-grand disciples, and so on. That comes up in the same conversation referred to. And Rupa Vilas's way with dealing with it is to say, gee, this is hard to follow, isn't it? I submit that it's not.
We showed it here with ISKCON in the 80s. Today I'm here to tell you about 4 ways you can help the channel. Number 1, please become a subscriber. Subscription growth is the #1 metric that YouTube uses. Number 2, please comment. Your feedback helps me direct the narrative of the channel. Number 3, visit the eBay store today. On eBay you will find me known as West Coast Yoga. And finally, number 4, chant Hare Krishna and read Prabhupada's books. Thank you very much.